दिख रहा है? अरे कैमरा से थोड़ी दिखेगा, इधर बाहर आके देखना पड़ेगा।
ये महंगे?
हाँ फिर
जब जेब में है पैसे तो लोग पूछते हैं आप है कैसे। जब हो जाओगे आप कंगाल, कोई नहीं पूछने आएगा क्या है आपका हाल। When you have money, people will ask you how are you, and when you have no money, people will ask who are you.
I want to know that if you and your neighbor have the same size of your house, it's the same layout and same size. Do you have the same curtains, furniture, paint, everything same as your neighbor, or it is different?
It's different.
Yeah, right. So that's very logical because अगर उनके पर्दे सेम हो भी गए तो हम अपने पर्दे चेंज कर देंगे next day.
Priyanka, how are you doing there?
I'm fine. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to be on your Let's Talk.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking out time for this conversation. And just for our audience, just would like to give brief introduction about you. In India, there is something which is called, we know how the money is important, right? Everything, whatever we associate with the money. If you have a good car, if you have good bank balance, if you have good house, if you have good life and the family, people will definitely going to value and give you a lot of respect. It's a symbol of reputation. But to manage, everything, all this, it's the most important thing is how you manage the money, right? And I remember in our families in the old days, women used to keep some money as a savings. And at the time of, difficult time or tough time, I don't know, we do not know from where the money will come, but she used to, the saved money will be, the savior at that time, that point of time. So we have Priyanka Acharya. She is a financial consultant, and she helps so many people, especially those who are working around the finance, the market, especially the insurance or maybe the banking or some other thing. So let us understand from Priyanka. Priyanka, share about your journey. What do you do? And then we will go ahead with more questions. Thank you.
Sure. So once again, thank you, Pankaj, for this honor. And usually, whenever a person is asked to introduce, so a woman would normally say that she is either a student, or she is working, or she is a homemaker, or she is a mother, a wife. But I generally really like to say that I am the Lakshmi of two families, and that is a universal identity which I've been gifted with, and that makes me feel very proud of my being. But somewhere or the other, if you look at a woman, she may not even think about saying that, I'm the Lakshmi of my family. Because this thought of money, Lakshmi, finance, everything is since many, many decades considered to be a very male oriented concept, where I am not saying that women are not really allowed to manage money. With changing times, with education coming up, yes, women have all the opportunities to manage money at home, but either she is deprived of this right, or she herself has conveniently outsourced this right, thinking that it's a very complex thing to do. Yeah, if I will do it, then I will lose money for sure, so it's better somebody else does it, so that's a safe way to do it. So that's the problem, where this Lakshmi doesn't get her identity. So I am a financial educator, and I run a brand called as Laxmi Gyan. Laxmi Gyan is basically having two verticals currently. One is called health insurance education, because over a period of all these years, I realized that there is this one product which is so important in our family finances, but somewhere there is no degree or education for an advisor who gets into health insurance. Now when that education doesn't exist, the transparency doesn't come, or there are lots of chaos and confusion times when it comes to claims or renewals of policies. So just to bring a professional aspect to it, I started an MBA which is called Mediclaim Business Administration. So health insurance education for advisors is one vertical of Lakshmi Gyan. And second vertical, as I said, is my passion of educating women in finance. not from a perspective of financial independence, to be very precise about it, because financial independence has already come with education, or women earning, whether in rural areas, urban areas. But I am looking at more of financial interdependence, where there is a conversation in the family and a family manages finances being a team, rather than there are isolations of people in one family and nobody knows about each other. So these are the two verticals of Lakshmi Gyan, and all this has come up after around 15 years of my diverse finance domain experience. I completed my MBA in finance 15 years back, and I worked with multiple companies in finance domain, including the Bombay Stock Exchange, where I was a faculty in my early days of career. So, from all of this experience, churning out a lot of things and discovering my niche and passion, I found out Lakshmi Gyan as my calling. And I always say that Lakshmi Gyan has to flow all across the world.
Very good. The name is very catchy. So the moment you put Lakshmi, we know how to earn money, but we do not. Many people we do not know how to manage money, and this is the area where the finance education is really very much required. So I know one lady you must be knowing very well, the RACHANA RANADE. She is doing really very good work in terms of she's a herself is a chartered accountant. Yeah, and she is very outspoken, and the way she explains the difficult concept in a very simplified manner.
ये देख मेरे नए सैंडल्स, नहीं दिख रहा है? अरे कैमरा से थोड़ी दिखेगा, इधर बाहर आके देखना पड़ेगा। इतने महंगे? हाँ फिर, अरे मेरे पोर्टफोलियो में एक ऐसा स्टॉक है जिसके प्रॉफिट से मेरा पूरा फुटवेयर का बिल निकल के आता है, एंड उस शॉपिंग से उसी कंपनी का रेवेन्यू भी बढ़ जाता है। It's a win-win, अरे ये ऐसा स्टॉक है which has multiplied investors' money by 50 times in the last 15 years, and it is the largest retail manufacturer footwear in the country and has sold more than 3.8 crore pairs of footwear in financial year 21-22. According to a data point, the per capita footwear consumption in India is just 1.7 pairs, whereas in developed countries this number stands at 7 to 8 pairs. Well, I hope you have understood that the outlook for the footwear industry looks good, plus the financials of the stock is also good. Then, which is the stock?
So share, some of the challenges and which you have faced in your initial career, and which could be, very helpful for the other, women entrepreneurs, those who really wanted to shape up something of the similar kind. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I believe the first and foremost challenge is that there is no formal education in the personal finance space as well. So it's always that experience is the best teacher or our neighbor is the best teacher. So what happens is that we will learn the hard way, we will lose money, earn money, we will keep on, parking money here and there. And then somewhere we understand that, acha, this is somewhere we are going wrong or we are going right. And there is no steady element of discipline when it comes to finances, because there is no set pattern that is taught to us ever. Now, when this set pattern is not taught, especially when you said with women, so if I give you an example, if it's a student who is writing her own exam papers, when she is told that there are margins to be drawn, if more often if it is a girl, she will say that agar 1 centimeter bhi यहाँ hua to she will not be very comfortable while drawing those margins. So women are very much wired towards perfection. So what happens is, now when this perfection happens and there is all sort of this chaos about how do I really manage money, so this doesn't match at all. उनकी कुंडलियां मिलती ही नहीं है. So either a woman would say that मुझसे तो नहीं होगा, मेरे बस की बात नहीं है, या I have somebody to manage, then why should I manage? Or else a woman is in an environment where she has no decision making power in the, so she feels that it's okay, मैं तो वो छुपा छुपा के चावल के बरनी में पैसे रखती हूँ, that's enough. So वो तो सदियों से that is a common parampara that we have seen across all the generations so far. Now the second problem is that all of us, including men, women, whatever, all of us feel that starting an SIP, buying an insurance policy, having a bank account, having some property, some gold, some shares is like, enough, and I have managed my money because that's it. और क्या करना होता है उसमें? But there are so many nitty-gritties in finance which we don't even realize. Nobody talks to us about it. And just behind running after returns, sometimes we lose money as well. Sometimes we lose peace of mind of earning money as well. So that is one big area where Laxmi Gyan wants to fill up a gap, and that's where if like you asked me the challenge. So the challenge is that why it's a business. I mean, whenever I talk about Laxmi Gyan, so far now recently it has stopped, but till last 6 months I was being asked that why don't you have an NGO? Why do you have a private limited company of yours for this kind of a cause? Because this is a very social cause and it should be funded by somebody. How can a person pay fees and learn about finance when an advisor can teach me, an accountant can teach me, or my parents, my spouse, my brother, anybody can teach me. So why should I pay for it? So that has always been a challenge. But then, just the way we pay for kindergarten, school, and colleges, we also need this financial education till it becomes a part of mainstream education.
Hmm. Very nice. But Priyanka just shares, few things. There are so many instruments available nowadays, right? Fund is there, SIPS is there, insurance is there, gold is there, property is there. Now, cryptocurrency is also another new one. So many things are there. For our audience, would you like to suggest, the couple of things which will be, very helpful for them in terms of the long-term perspective? So I remember in insurance we used to tell that that the long-term family financial goals. And I remember, during my days of insurance, we used to do the fact finding. Right. So, what is your age? How many children are there? Are you planning for their marriage, their education, and like this, and we will try to find out the gap over there and filling this gap with the help of the solutions or the product which you are having. So please share, what should be the ratio of, the saving pattern or something, which as an, the financial consultant, financial educator, you would like to recommend.
Sure. So there was a set pattern of, like you said, that we used to do an analysis of what is the person's goal, and then reverse calculate and suggest that this is how much insurance you will need, or this is how much investment you will need, or this is the saving you need to have, this is the liquidity you need to have. Now coming to today and the coming years of future, some started living in the startup economy, where things are very different today. Financial planning, family priorities, the concept of family itself has changed to a very large extent. Now with this time, I would like to highlight that these goal planning things are very fundamental, which all of us have seen somewhere or the other. But now with these times where things are really totally rapidified and changing, and we are entering into world of blockchains and AI. So in this kind of an era, how do we get the fundamentals right is what I want to focus on. So if we look at this, the first thing is to first of all understand that we will need money at all phases of our life. So, there used to be a concept in two generations before me. It used to be like savings is, your thing, because after 60, you will have no income. And at that point of time, how will you survive? How will you manage your family? Because the needs will keep on increasing. So, it's always a logical trend to save a lot of money, and spending choices were very less. So for our grandparents, it was a very typical thing, like ना कोई pizza outlets थे, ना कोई malls थे, ना कुछ था.
Yeah,
For
traditional.
them spending options were very less. So saving was the only thing left, and investments were not so popular or not so digitally savvy and all. So then they were left with savings, insurance, banking, post office, all these products. Now we have a completely different era where things are very totally different. In this era, what happens is most of the times we make one mistake, that either we get into this generation war where an elderly person in the family would say that you need to save, you need to save. But this person who is earning today at the age of 20, 25, 30, 35, this person is thinking that, everybody around me is spending money. So how can I save money? And I need to manage my lifestyle pattern, because even if I am putting it on Instagram, people see minute details. Or even if I am just going for a meeting, people will check how my appearance is. So more than my content, they will first see how dignified I look, the accessories that I carry, or which school my child studies in, or which kind of a flat or house I live in. So that lifestyle pattern has totally come up. Now your investment and insurance has to be aligned to these. So that is the first thing where a mistake is not possible, because if we are only looking at a thumb rule of, this much percent, that much percent, we need to understand that now salaried class is lesser than these entrepreneurial classes, where steady income doesn't exist. There's a lot of firefighting that an entrepreneur has to do in terms of paying salaries and paying rents and paying all these kind of expenses, where maybe this thumb rule may not be able to be, applied every single time. So instead, a person can do one thing: build up their own financial architecture. Now when I say architecture, let's do one thing for interesting for people who are listening to us also, and perhaps you will also like this. I want to know that, if you and your neighbor have the same size of your house, it's the same layout and same size. Do you have the same curtains, furniture, paint, everything same as your neighbor, or it is different?
It's different.
Yeah, right. So that's very logical, because अगर उनके पर्दे सेम हो भी गए तो हम अपने पर्दे चेंज कर देंगे next day, because we may not like that identicality. But somewhere when it comes to parking money, saving, investment and insurance, we generally ask either the neighbor or the friend or somebody who has done it in the family, and we say that, वो उन्होंने बहुत किया है, so they know how to do it. But as I said, if there is no standard thumb rule, depending on somebody and saying that, your architecture is same as my architecture, is just like building, their kitchen exactly like our kitchen. And that makes the whole thing very, the user friendliness of it goes off totally. So for that, I need to build my own architecture. Now for my own architecture, I have to create a research pattern. So here, let me give you an input that, we generally ask so many people randomly. Instead, we have a very beautiful, Ministry of Finance has taken so much of efforts in all these last few years to bring in awareness, and we have lots of good regulators now. So there is RBI who regulates banking, there is SEBI who regulates markets and mutual funds, there is IRDA who regulates insurance, and now there is PFRDA who regulates pensions. Now these regulators, sometimes we feel that, going to their website is so complex. How can we, read their material, because we'll not understand anything. But in these last few years, they have developed a lot of financial literacy content, which is very beautifully made and very easy to understand. So for instance, RBI has comic books. So if you go to Google and put financial literacy comics by RBI, they are freely downloadable PDFs. I have a son who is 10 years old who really loves to read them. So it's a treat for anybody who wants to understand banking. SEBI has beautifully designed some handbooks which are called investor handbooks. You can again Google out, you will get them easily, and in fact they are multilingual as well. So it has different categories of handbooks. It says investor education for housewife, investor education for retirees, investor education for students, investor education for working executives. So based on the priorities of these age groups, they have made these handbooks to understand markets and funds also. AMFI, which is Association of Mutual Funds, has also made very beautiful material about it. IRDA also has its consumer education material. So on YouTube, if you go, there is a mascot called as Bima Bemisal, and they have IRDA certified video clips which explain, things like cashless insurance, what is life insurance, and absolute basic for somebody who wants to just enter the world of insurance, or get a grounding as to whatever I've done is proper or not. So once you research on your own, it doesn't take much time if you consistently do it. Maybe 30 minutes a week is also more than enough. So when all these processes are done properly, you design your own ways to, which paint I want, which furniture I want. So you decide which instruments will work for me, rather than getting biased saying that, उन्होंने बोला कि ये प्रोडक्ट बेकार है तो मुझे नहीं लेना है, उन्होंने बोला ये प्रोडक्ट बहुत अच्छा है तो मुझे यही लेना है. It's not how we will be able to decide exactly.
Very good. So one thing, what I am learning here, that for everything you would like to see variety and the customization, because this is not one size fits all. Find out what is your need and go through. And normally what happened in that is the tendency and the habit, people don't wanted to go deeper into the finance because they see it's sort of scary. It's very longer, kind of study material. And but thank you so much. Very good, inputs you have shared, especially from the learning perspective. So we can put some links also in the description, so the people, those who are really interested and wanted to learn, they can go through this. Now coming to, I remember, couple of my friends, they were keep on telling me कि देखो यार ऐसा है कि सबसे बड़ा पैसा है. And recently, I was going through one clip of गौर गोपाल दास. वो भी बोलते हैं कि देखो सब पूछेंगे आप कैसे हैं जब तक आपके पास पैसे हैं.
जब जेब में है पैसे तो लोग पूछते हैं आप है कैसे. जब हो जाओगे आप कंगाल, कोई नहीं पूछने आएगा क्या है आपका हाल. When you have money, people will ask you how are you, and when you have no money, people will ask who are you. बस एक वर्ड बदलता है, हाउ का हु होता है बस, और दोनों का स्पेलिंग एक ही है, HOW, WHO. 3 लेटर इधर उधर करना है. अंदर क्या है जेब में बैंक का, उसके हिसाब से भरा है. हाउ आर यू, कंगाल है. कौन है भाई, who are you? Which is why a lot of times I say, मेरे साथ तो ऐसे हुआ है, जिनके ना आते थे जवाब उनके सलाम आने लगे. जिनके ना आते.
So yes, somehow, in the long term, if you see, if you are in the career shaping years, from between 20 to 30, the more you advance into your age, more you will be having, the complications, commitments, especially for the family, for yourself. So I feel that that's not the right time, especially once you hit about 40 and above age, to take a lot of risk. So your risk aversion you will decrease, So especially, for this, the pattern what we need to follow. And a lot of changes are happening because of the change in the mindset of these generations, right? The millennials, the Gen Z, they don't think about spending the money. I think 10 times, if I am going somewhere to see the flight, which is the economical one, that economic class, my son doesn't think even. If you need to book a ticket, he will right away book a ticket and tell me, Papa, your ticket is booked and this is the flight and you go this. And you stay in the 5-star hotels. I tell them, why are you, booking the ticket in the 5? He said, Papa, enjoy the luxury. Everything is available for us. They don't have it at all even think for spending the money. So what you said is absolutely right. The patterns are changing. Now the habits are changing. Looking into, all this change habit, share something about now funneling down to the insurance.